sounds
So
good.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:02 PM with a roll call. Harold?
Present.
Eli?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Charlie?
Here.
Sandra? Here. David?
I'm here too.
Jeanette? Here. Sherry isn't here right now, but she's on her way.
She's angry.
The agenda, we did the roll call. Old business, just wondering, Lee and Eli went to a workshop up in Lincoln. How did it go?
No, it was good. It was good.
There were things that I learned, and there were things that was just repetition of what any budget process is.
So there were new things that you learned?
There were a couple of definitions, I'll say definitions. One that we should review is what the budget committee can ask about, or how they can ask about it. While the interpretation that Mr. Buckley alluded to was slightly different than what we have done in the past.
Okay.
And so I think we need to take a closer look in the book where it talks about what are the legitimate questions that we can ask of Charlie or ask of any other group that comes before us.
Okay.
There's a difference between management decisions and budget decisions.
Yep.
Why did you spend the money this way? You have to be careful because that's getting into management and we can't, that's not our purview.
That what you
Makes
call
sense.
micromanagement.
That's what you call micromanagement.
That's always been though.
It was just made
Oh.
clear.
Okay.
And sometimes I think people forget, especially in the heat of asking questions and wanting to get things done, we sometimes may step over the line, and I think we just have to be careful.
Or maybe at the next meeting, we can review that, everybody can bring their budget book in. Did you each get a budget book at the work session?
Yes.
And everybody has a budget book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The current budget book, I have two now.
Lee, did you have anything you wanted to say about the work session?
No, it just, what he said was good, but I mean, I've learned a lot. Toward the end, it was getting very repetitive.
Yeah.
And, it got to the point that you're sitting there and going, oh, come on. No, but I mean, for the most part, through the first until lunch, and then after lunch were some good things, and then it started to,
Until about 3,
Yeah.
there was good information. At 3 o'clock, they did start repeating themselves, didn't know where they were going with what, and they got off topic.
What time did it get over?
Supposedly at 4:30.
somewhere, yeah.
This is Conway?
Up in Conway.
Lincoln. Was it Conway or Lincoln?
Lincoln, excuse me.
I was gonna say. I thought it was.
Conway was a great ride.
It was beautiful.
Nice facility we were in.
Were you at the town office?
No mountain.
Oh, okay.
At the Mountain Club,
Okay.
that's where they had the SEC hearing,
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know where it is.
okay?
Yeah.
So, it would behoove us to review something like that.
We'll do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Carol, can you hand that to Sherry, please? And that goes to Sherry,
It's all good.
and this goes to Sherry. I don't know if she needs that, I'm guessing not, but there's not much on it. I'll give it to you. Other old business, Sandra had mentioned at our last meeting about maybe starting a list of things that the budget committee should ask for, or things that the budget committee needs. So I started a list, and then, I think you have it, Sandra, I think
I do.
David handed it to you.
You did.
And then everybody can just add to it for the next meeting, delete it, whatever. I just started, like monthly reports from the town on actual budget expenses and encumbrances, quarterly report from the Ashland Electric, quarterly report from Ashland Water and Sewer, town audit, things like that. So we can add to it. Charlie, you can add to it. Have you got one? Did we give you one? Okay. That's what you wanted, right, Sandra? Just the beginning, and then we can
I thought that
add to
would be
it.
I thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Question though, we've got monthly reports from the town, but only quarterly from the utilities.
That's usually what we do. We usually do a monthly report from the town every month, but the utilities, we only do it every 3 months. That's what we have been doing.
And not when I was, you were getting a monthly.
Well, that's what we have been doing with water and sewer and electric. We've been doing it quarterly every 3
No,
months.
We were
Just ask, that's
receiving
all.
them and putting them in people's
Um,
phones, yeah.
I believe you were I will go through with Lee. I believe that you requested, or have been requesting, the monthly review of P&Ls or balance sheet.
We have not.
I'm just,
Okay.
that would have been a continuation from a year ago.
Right. It's been a year.
But by warrant, both of the utilities are required to give the town
A monthly?
P&L quarterly.
Yeah, that's why I said quarterly.
And so we, as the budget committee, can ask them if we want to have a monthly. And just that I will tell you, in the case of water and sewer, the month isn't closed out until the 15th of the month. So it would be after that, before you would be getting the water and sewer. And I don't know what the schedule for.
The reason that I think it's better to do it quarterly is with the town, they've got Charlie doing it as the town administrator. But as far as the commissioners, they have to do their own. So I just think it would be better if, what do you think, Sandra?
Actually, Jeanette, we don't do our own. Linda does that.
Oh, she does, okay.
She does, and when we have a meeting, she gives us an up-to-date report. That report that we receive on, well, it's no longer, during budget, the first Tuesday, because we've changed our date. But when we have our first meeting of the month, the report that we receive, we can certainly give the budget committee that report.
Okay.
And we do that
Okay.
monthly.
What about,
As I said, I don't,
that's right, but you think if we requested a monthly report, we would receive it? Probably could.
it is part of your, you can require
Okay,
a monthly.
okay. Sherry?
I think that we have asked, actually, when he was on the electric department, we did get reports and everything, but I think we've asked the water and sewer, but they've never given us any reports till the very end or whatever.
I don't think we've asked
And I know that you
them.
didn't realize that he
And I
was
was
doing
going-
that and it's
that's
been
right.
corrected.
I was going to clarify that.
No, and I understand
You
that.
didn't know that, and that was not
Right.
that was
we
not,
know-
in all honesty, the new superintendent did not know that as well, so therefore, we did not do that.
Right.
At our
we
last
resolved that
meeting, we
last
told
meeting.
Steve, and we told the I told the other commissioners, and they said that would be fine, and Linda said that she would do that. And she looked at that, and she said that it's no more or less than what, we get, so,
Okay.
yes,
Right.
so that's fine.
Okay.
And
Right,
we'll-
but
we'll do
I
that.
guess I'm saying, we've asked for those reports from water and sewer, and we've never received.
We
them
haven't
before.
recently.
We did last year, and
Might have last year, but we haven't recently.
not this year.
So that's
We
the
started
reason-
to meet, but.
That's the
in
reason I-
past, I'm saying, we've had a difficult time getting certain reports from certain departments in town.
Well, when I emailed David, he had to take a few weeks, but I did get the information from him, and I will talk to him about doing it monthly, so that we'll get it.
Well, DRA recommends the budget committee look at the budgets every month. You don't have to, but they recommend that you do.
Yeah,
And what I'm seeing on the water sewer here, it's a very nice balance sheet. It's not a budget. It's not a budget for the year, it's not expenditures for the year.
well, I did ask for the budget.
I'm sorry?
I did ask for the budget.
It's not there.
It's not what you got.
It doesn't compare what they
I
budgeted.
did ask that when I emailed him. Yeah, you're right. No, I'll email him again. And I will tell him that we need the budget.
Did you pick these up earlier than this morning? I'll resend you.
No, what happened was, it was on the shelf, nobody put them in the folder, so I went to my daughter's and made copies.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Because I went this morning and they weren't there.
Yeah, no, they just happened to be sitting on the shelf, it should have been
Yeah,
put into the folders, so.
well, that happens sometimes.
Okay, does everybody have, Charlie did the budget, does everybody have October 1st? Sandra, I think yours was in your folder in the,
Yeah, you gave me, you did give it to me.
A brief comment about our current, next year's budget. It is almost prepared. Most of the department heads have submitted, still got the chief, but he's been out of the office for a couple weeks, but he's gonna send that to me tonight. The Board of Selectmen are going to start preparing their budget for the Budget Committee tomorrow. We meet at 10 o'clock in the town office. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, you can get through 3 departments tomorrow. Right now, it's Police Department, DPW, with maybe Town Clerk, if we're able to. Some people only have a limited amount of time. We scheduled another meeting for the 17th. Hopefully, by then, I'm still waiting for basically personnel stuff in liability figures from Primex and Health Trust, our medical insurance group benefits, and the insurance rates.
and you have,
But other than that, I pretty much have everything
you have the
else.
fire department, because Steve did his, right?
No, I haven't got it yet. He's gonna send it to me tomorrow.
Okay.
But he's basically done.
But he is
And I've
done.
gotta put that into the new booklets for everyone. And I think I had it noted that Primex is gonna release their new rates next Monday, and Health Trust is towards the end of the month. But you and I talked earlier today, maybe hopefully by the end of the month. I think that's pretty good, to have it all ready to go. And by then, hopefully, maybe we'll have the insurance rates. But other than that, everything else it's done.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all
I
done.
like the way that you set it up.
Yep. So those that don't know, it's a new format. I've got, put it all in the binders, it's got a table of contents, there's variances, they're in the difference, the prices, the historical numbers, all of that. It's just, I've got to take, the board's got to vote on what they would like to request, and then I could transfer that information, so it's for you guys.
And Charlie's gonna put them in a binder for each one of us.
Yep.
That would be nice.
Yep.
Lee?
I got one question.
Sure.
Probably a touchy subject. But is there any money being put into the budget to clean up the site down there where the police department shoots? Because when we had Clean Harbors come in,
Yeah.
I was asked by
Yeah.
one of them if, what that placeholder means. I said, that's your target range. He says, when was the last time it was cleaned up? And I says, never, as far as I know. Keith DuBois from DEA, he asked the same question.
Yes.
So it may be something you might be looking at down the river. That they may be coming back at you, DEA. And plus the fact that that's in your
Right.
Squam River overlay.
One thing, not the budget, but one thing that a couple of department heads had proposed to me, which will probably, the selectmen have to decide, is we thought about changing the the capital reserve fund. Right now, we have a building maintenance capital reserve fund. We thought about changing it to building maintenance and grounds. So we can.
Can you do that? Is that legal?
Sure.
That's a warrant article. The voter, there's a warrant article, so the voters will give us the authority to change it to kind of.
Okay, so it's okay to change it as long as you put it in.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a warrant.
Okay.
It'll be a warrant article.
Okay.
So hopefully that can, probably not so much in the budget, when we already have the reserves to do it. No
That might be a good idea.
taxation, no
That
taxation
might
and
be a good
stuff.
idea.
Because we had a problem with this year, finding money in the budget to cut down some trees at the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were thinking maybe we expand our capital reserves a little bit to give us a little bit more
I thought
leeway.
the campground did really well. I thought they made good money.
They did, but we can't just take, you can only spend what you've given authority to spend, which is this or the capital reserves. We can't take revenue. Revenue goes into the,
Yeah.
Their revenue just
But there
goes
should
into the
be-
general
General
fund.
fund.
It's not
Yeah.
something, a pool they can actually use
Yeah.
themselves, so.
yeah.
That's too bad, because you should.
Yeah, well, expanding that capital reserves to grounds will help us out with parks and rec.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we have any problems with the fields or something on those lines.
Okay. Shirley?
I wanted to clarify what you said. The police department has a building
No,
line maintenance?
No,
And you
it's general
wanna,
No.
okay, so I misunderstood.
General
Well,
government.
Lee asked us
General
about,
maintenance?
he asked if we would clean, if we're gonna clean up the land where the PD
I
shoots.
understand that, but, so, I thought you said they have a building maintenance line or whatever, or...
No, we thought about changing the intent of the building maintenance capital reserve
Oh,
to building maintenance and grounds,
All right.
to hopefully get a little bit more flexibility to possibly clean something up like that instead of
Right.
just putting it in the budget.
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
according to their budget right now, they still have, with 3 lines, $4,937 that they haven't spent, that could maybe go to that cleanup or whatever. I don't know how much that would be or whatever.
It's gonna be a lot more than
Certain
that.
lines, like 430, 800, and 690, which they haven't expenditured. One is miscellaneous, one is matching grants, I don't know how that would work. But the other one is equipment maintenance. That total is $4,937. So they still have that there that maybe they could use to look into that cleaning up or what have you.
So,
I don't know what that would cost.
David?
just wondering what kind of thing this involves, cleaning up a pistol range. They have to find the bullets?
No, it's pistol, and for years, guys used to go down there and shoot their rifles to sight them in.
Right,
So there's a lot of lead down in there.
right. So,
And I said, I made the comment to Clean Harbors guy, I said, well, you got a state police shooting range down on 132. He says, yeah. He says, about every other year, Clean Harbors goes in, takes that out, and brings new sand in.
oh. So that's a normal practice?
So it isn't like bushes and things that need to be cleaned up, or is it?
No, it's the lead.
Just the lead.
It's the lead.
I mean, someone like Mr. Hiltz or anybody who deals with aggregate would have a tumbler, whereas you could just put your bucket loads of dirt into it and separate it and down to a certain size. But the way the precious metals are going, the amount of brass and lead down there, you might actually get some money back out of it.
I mean, I don't know how many truckloads would have to go out of there, but best thing for that is go right down and have it incinerated. Get rid of it that way.
Incinerate?
Just saying, I mean, they still have certain lines that they have done well on. I don't know about that matching grant thing. Maybe you could look into a grant that would cover that, you know what I mean? Since you have it here in your budget, I'm not sure of the laws of grants or anything, but you still have $2,500 there in grant money. Maybe somebody ought to look into that before, I mean, it might be a,
It sounds more like next year, really.
I'm looking at, I'm looking at more next year, Sherry,
I'm
because
just saying,
one of the things,
Let's just talk one at a time,
Okay,
okay?
I'm sorry.
Please, whoever. You all done, Sherry, so we can
yeah,
talk?
I'm just
The
saying.
only thing I would say is you gotta be cautious about how you spend the money, because you can spend money on the line that you don't allocate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sherry, I have a quick question. Do you have the tape recorder? Are you taking notes?
I do not, I was in a hurry and we were filming, so,
Are you gonna take notes?
no. I haven't been.
Yeah, you were, when we voted, you were gonna take notes.
No, I'm not taking minutes. No. And now that you're recording and whatever, I'm not taking minutes. I've said for the last 5 years or whatever, this is my second term, I'm not that person. Sorry.
Well, I know at one of our meetings, you were saying,
I said that I would help you out that one time, but
no, it was something I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, something like corresponding secretary or something, so.
yeah, I wanted to go with you when you met with the, to learn how you set up the meetings and everything.
Well, I was under the standing you were gonna do minutes, so I will do what I can.
Sorry.
That's all right. I just wanted to check. Charlie, I have a question on the legal line. Have all the bills come in? Or have you got more bills that are coming in?
Page 3.
Yeah. It's a minus 4,632.18. Do you have more bills that are coming in?
Oh, yeah, well, we still get a monthly one, yeah.
So 3 months of billing.
3 months, you still get,
Okay.
yeah, you still have October, November, and December.
Okay. So you're probably gonna be over quite a bit more than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the big, right, are you talking about the big right-to-know request we have with the big legal fee?
Well, I'm not talking about anything in particular, I'm talking about the legal.
Because I don't know if the legal expense for that is complete.
Okay,
So, but at a minimum, it would be $3,000 because we have a $1,000 monthly retainer.
right, okay. David, you had your hand up?
Well, I was just wondering if we could, this is kind of the most unpredictable part of the budget. I was wondering if we could get some sort of history of what we have spent on legal expenses for the past 5 years. So, and that's what the school does with their snowstorms, because they can't predict how many times they plow the, but they take an average over a period of time rather than trying to guess.
Well, off the top of my head, last year you had a lawsuit, we overspent. 2 years before that, you had a
Yeah.
lawsuit, we overspent.
Yeah.
It's just whenever people get sued out, we
Right.
overspend.
Yeah.
I mean, in best case scenario, Dave, looking at the hard numbers that Charlie's just given us, you're gonna be 50% overspent, best case scenario.
Right. We've been too optimistic about this budget.
Because you're at 30% over right now, and if you have another 3,000 come in, you're gonna be about 7,300 over. And that legal line was 15,000 for this year.
Right.
I mean, when you make out this budget at the end of the previous year, you have no idea what's coming down the pike and who's going to talk, what kind of legal expenses you're going to get. So maybe we should be padding that budget rather than trying to save it.
I would like to look at some of the previous years, because I don't think they were over all of those years.
There was the only two I can remember, I've been on the budget for 6 years, 7 years. The land use lawsuit on Collins Street and the land use lawsuit on 132, only 2 years out of 8 years we've overspent except for this year. 3 out of the last 6 on the legal line.
But we can get the actual.
How far do you want to go back?
Maybe 5 years?
5, 6, somewhere in
Yeah.
there.
For a good estimate, before you go back 10
5 years to...
10 years?
No, I say 10 years.
Would you like me to read them to you?
You have all of them?
They are in your,
Back to
yeah, go ahead. In
Back
your
to-
new stuff, I have it in there.
Back to 2014.
All I'd like to know is, like 2014, were they over on the legal line?
What was budgeted was 15,000, what was spent was
So they were
34,187.
over in 2014.
In 2015, 15,000 was requested and 19,899 was spent.
So they were over again.
In 16, it was even,
Okay.
and 17,
17 was even?
I don't have 17, I'm sorry. I don't have 17.
Okay. Thank you,
I
Senator.
don't know any other way to fund it unless you created like a capital reserve fund for legal expenses. Does that make sense? I don't know if
Yeah.
towns do that for the unexpected.
Yeah, you really almost just have to almost play it by ear, and,
Yeah.
you know, if you go over, you're gonna have to find it in the budget. Make it work.
Sherry, you had your hand up?
Well, I'm just adding other certain lines are actually on that legal line page, because we do have to remember it's a bottom line budget. And I'm up to $10,361.25 of unexpenditure lines just on that page,
But we have,
according to this paperwork.
we have a quarter of the year to go.
I understand that, but these lines, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that are still 100%. One's 3,000, one's 5,000, one's 300.
But remember, you're gonna have bills for October, November, and December.
I understand that, but one is, I'm not sure you will on those certain lines. For one is land use legal, there's $3,000 there. So unfortunately, yes, it's a bottom line budget, and that line has drawn a lot of attention that it has gone over, and we did cut it last year. But there is still money in this bottom line budget that I can just find on that particular page that will cover, and you get another 10 grand just on that page.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure that we should totally freak out about it yet, or whatever.
Well, I just think we should try to have a little padding in that, because it has the potential to go over. I'm not talking about $40,000 a year or something like that, but
Right.
something that's
Right, maybe.
sort of,
It's just something to look into, I'm
right.
There are some
I'm not
lines-
disagreeing with you, but I also see 10 grand sitting on that same page that I looked into earlier, that because I was looking at the legal line, that's why I did that. So, and we kind of have to remember it is a bottom line budget.
Sandra?
On the legal line, I don't agree with David, because I don't agree that we should pad that line. When you pad a line, you're increasing your budget, and you're increasing, you know, the potential of taxes going up. I just don't agree with that. If you look at the years 14 and 15, 14 was overspent by $19,000. In 15, it was overspent by 4. And 16, it was evened out. I mean, you can offset the years. I don't believe you should do that. I believe the people in this town deserve some kind of a break, and they don't need an increase in their taxes, because you're padding quote, padding
It's
a
probably the
line.
wrong.
Yeah, I don't like that expression, because padding means you're putting extra money in
Right.
just to have it in there.
And I
Well-
think $15,000 for a legal line is sufficient, and
I think it's a good average.
I think it is too.
Well, isn't the
And
average? That's the question we were asking, so.
Well, just two things is, one is, the level line has been hit with a lot of unforeseen right-to-know laws, number one. Number two, if you look on page 14, where it says total general fund, David, you said you got a quarter of a year to go, they're 25.72% to go yet. So they're right on target for
Actually,
pretty much hitting the budget.
Did you say page 14?
Page 14 down at the bottom.
the real one to look at, sorry Lee, is page 13. The next page, 13, general operating budget. The warrant articles in the petition, that's all warrant articles that we have to pay. So page 13, it's showing about 27%.
Yeah, so you give or take, you're still right on target, pretty much.
You know, not to jump the gun a little bit, but on page 3, above the legal line, there's that proper revaluation line. We would recommend, probably going to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to reduce that to $1, because the assessors recommended we pretty much skip a year because this is our reval. And subsequently, we're going to propose to the town, we create a warrant article for a capital reserve fund for revaluation, so there's not as much of an impact, a $33,000 impact. We can just chip away at the reval every year to kind of reduce the budget. You know, maybe, that's right, it may be something that 33 could be a little bit of help on the legal line. So there's ways you can kind of maneuver it to kind of try to make it work.
That's why it's a bottom line budget.
Yeah.
Sandra?
I may have missed this at the first meeting, but I know the legal line is, quite high. And it's because of a number of right-to-know law requests. I know that when I was on the Board of Selectmen, we did the right-to-know law. I mean, is it always going to a lawyer, or is it a matter of the town manager or the town clerk just looking up the answer to that in an RS, or why?
Was it so high? Because we needed, there's, some of the right to know requests, first of all, was attorney-client privilege, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Whether or not, it was up to the attorney whether or not he should release it. Some of it was emails, whether or not that could be released, and really it was, we kind of took the information that was requested and gave it to the attorney for him to determine, to tell us if we could release it.
The stipend that you give the attorney every month, that doesn't cover,
It didn't, on this it didn't.
it did not.
No.
There's
Well,
already-
at the beginning, it was, at the beginning, we kind of worked it out because he wasn't clear and he waived it, but there was so much other extra, and it went to another level, so to speak, that he was like, no, this isn't under that fee.
Anybody else have any other questions?
And the fee, the way the fee is determined, which pretty much goes up every year, is based on how much we reach out to council for consultation. That's why, to be honest with you, I kind of pick and choose when and why I call either NHMA or recommend we call the attorney. Generally, stuff that might end up in court, like a legal letter, or some type of contract or something like that. That stuff is deferred to our personal counsel. Anything that deals with a public body, or maybe the state statute that we need to know or don't know about, then would call NHMA for advice.
And the reason that agreement was made for that amount is because before it used to be hourly,
Yeah.
and that ran into a lot.
Yeah, you save a lot with this agreement.
You do.
A lot, because
Yeah.
right now, they're about 190 up an hour.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so. And that legal line also includes the assessment for utility poles with Fairpoint.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Because that still hasn't been settled, that's going to what, Superior Court?
Supreme Court, State Supreme Court.
Wow, when is that gonna happen, or do you know?
Fairpoint is,
When the judges decide.
Yeah, Fairpoint's gone, right?
yeah.
Consolidated
That's 2 years.
Yeah, well, was whoever owns it now, I guess.
Peter and Paul.
It's Consolidated that owns it now, right?
Before that, it was Verizon.
Yeah. So,
Any other comments, questions?
My only question is, the unemployment compensation, was that at the beginning of the year, or is that still on?
yeah, a little bit, that was at the beginning of the year.
What page, Harold?
The unemployment claims,
Yeah,
that's
that's
over.
a good one.
There was a claim that was pretty much backdated before our policy,
Yeah, 229.
before the policy went into effect. So we got hit with a little bit of an extra bill there. I don't know of the number completely off the top of my head, but we have insurance policy for that now.
Okay.
But the little bit of overages because of a claim that rolled over from last year into this year.
So it was from last calendar year.
Yeah.
I was wondering on the highways and streets budget, I presume all of the improvements have been done, but is there enough in there for winter maintenance as?
What page?
I'm sorry, on page 8, winter maintenance. I was just wondering, that's about, I presume about all that remains to be spent.
Yeah, Craig still has to order his sand, so the salt and sand line will go over. Yeah.
Do you know how much? I mean, we don't have a lot left.
You think the salt,
Yeah, it's gotta go over between.
Bottom line.
you think the salt, he puts a PO out, right? By the end of the year?
I mean, I don't know if it's still an ongoing issue, but I believe in this figure, the amount of salt he had left was carryover from last year, and he had some off-season loss from some water damage, where he pretty much had to throw away a good amount of salt because water was infiltrating from the back. There was some impervious surface added to the rear of the building, that all the water was washing down into the salt bin, so we had to pretty much throw it away.
How do you throw away salt?
Mix it with sand.
Oh, no, you can use it.
You can't use it as straight salt on the road anymore, it's not as strong.
Okay, I see.
Yep.
Anybody else have any other questions? Family here? David, Lee?
So I have a few questions on the electric budget.
Okay. If everybody's done with the town budget, we'll let you know, is that okay?
I don't have it.
Yeah, that's it.
Profit and loss.
I don't have it.
Lee?
As I mentioned before, about expenditures with nothing allocated, and you've got 4 lines on here that are expenditures and there's nothing allocated. You also, you're showing, now this is as of, I realize, August 18th, but you're showing a $256,000 deficit. And there was a letter going out in the last electric bill from the superintendent and said they were going to go to AMRs. That's an expensive system. I would think it'd be more behooving to save that money rather than spend that money. It'd be more behooving to build your reserves back up again.
Are you asking that of me?
I'm sorry?
Are you asking that of me?
No, I'm just saying, something, if you want to take it back, or if you got a comment, say it.
I have a question.
Well, hold on, Sandra, did you want to comment on
I'll listen to,
Harold?
yeah, Howard first.
Usually, I mean, salaries and health insurance kind of go hand in hand as far as a sliding scale. You pay so much insurance for so much salaries. But I was looking at line number ending in 111, health insurance, and it is overspent by quite a bit, but is that locked into the negotiations that was done for the union contract? Wouldn't that be a slide scale that you'd already predetermined?
From what I understand, and I'm just looking at this tonight, from what I understand, that line is overspent because Lee has retired and that health insurance is him and his wife.
Buyout, okay, that makes all the sense in the world.
Okay.
That's a question.
That's part of it, but it's not the whole thing, obviously.
Anybody else? Have any other questions? On the electric? Lee, are you still going over the electric?
I'm sorry?
Are you still going over the electric?
Well, it's obvious to me, and it's on me, that there's, I would say that you've apparently, and I'm not saying apparent, bunched a lot of things into one lines, instead of, because the old FERC line budget that I had was obviously 2 full pages with stuff on it, but this,
Is that what you gave to the budget committee, was the 2 pages from FERC? Is that what you're,
that's what we used to go by,
is that what you gave to the budget committee?
yes,
All right.
yeah.
I'm sorry, you know, when I brought this back to Linda and, you know, to the other commissioners, I said that you had said that you, on your own, did this.
No, I did not. Glenn Dial, I'll tell you I did not. Because when I was under the Board of Selectmen prior to the commissioners coming into play,
I'm talking about the past couple of years. My,
I'm going back when the FERC numbers first came in. Back around 2000, 2001,
all right. And you submitted all that to the budget committee?
yes.
I don't know that.
You should have copies of it.
Have you received that over the past few years?
We did up until about a year ago, we were
Well, no,
receiving
he's
it every
talking- No,
month.
he's talking about something else. He's talking about a 2-page report from FERC. This
No,
goes back-
it was
this goes back
FERC
18,
numbers.
20 years.
In other words, it was how much was spent on primaries, how much was spent on secondaries, things like that.
That's
Each
what-
one was
We
identified.
received those
Yeah,
ones
you
a
didn't
month.
have, like,
That was a long time ago,
salary
about a year
line.
ago.
Oh, all right.
So salaries were mixed in with materials in different.
It was a project-based,
Right, yes.
Right,
Work-based, I
we
guess.
used to receive that every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could have a copy of that, then I'll go back to Linda and say, this is what the budget committee
I'd have
is
to hunt, but I can find
requesting.
it.
It's not up to Linda, and that's going to be up, in other words, you set this budget.
I'm just, it's an example
Yeah.
that you submitted to this budget committee. I'm just asking for an example and give it.
I'd have to go back, but I can find it.
Okay, all right, that's all I'm asking.
But we
Eli?
never said that we wanted, I mean,
I believe that when the electric department announced that they were shifting to a different way of showing their numbers, to be more in line with what the town.
Right.
There were line consolidations,
Yes.
and this is one of the ways to show the budget. it definitely was a change from the way it had been done in the past, where sometimes it took much longer, took everybody on the commission to sort out where things were. This is more consistent with the town's budget,
Yes.
which is why I think they went this way. It certainly does give us information that we can compare with the town, as far as the same setup. I think that probably somebody in their massive notebooks has the way it was done before, but if this is the way, if currently we're going to have it this way, going back, we'll see different numbers in different places, and it would be just as hard to reconcile.
Can I ask, this is what the commissioners see now, right?
No,
No?
it is not.
Oh,
That's just what we see? Excuse me.
It's my understanding that the reason that you received this type of report is the report that Lee was sending to you the previous year.
No.
And if Lee is saying no, then what I will do is the report that we have every month, which is detailed, you will receive our report.
So in other words, you didn't see this or approve it before it was given to the budget committee?
I did not.
well, commissioners.
I mean, I would think as a commissioner, it would have been better for the commissioners to look it over before we received it.
So this was prepared by your super?
I don't know who prepared this. I did not see it.
Okay.
So, just to understand, the budget that you receive, is it the same layout? Are all salaries together, or?
It's detailed. I don't have it in front of me, but it's all detailed.
Well,
You don't receive what each employee receives.
right.
No, but it is detailed, and it is much different than this. I don't have a copy with me.
I'm surprised she didn't send that to us, or give us that.
We meet tomorrow night.
Okay. Okay.
You'll receive the same report that I received tomorrow
Right,
night.
because it isn't fair to you either, because when we have questions, you can't answer them. But if we have the same one that you went over and everything, then you can answer questions for us, so.
To be transparent, the department is running in a deficit, and we are catching up. There was an audit that was done. I guess Sherry wants to.
That's
say
okay,
something.
go ahead and finish, and then Sherry can.
And then we did have somebody come in who randomly looked at meters, and looking at the meters, they are old, they needed to be replaced, and there's a 16% error in a lot of the readings in the meters,
Which is high.
which is very high,
Yeah.
which is very high. And in replacing those meters is a cost factor, and that's something that's gonna have to be done. For the future, you could go AMI or AMR. And that's what we decided, instead of replacing all these meters that have such a percentage of,
Error.
in reading, we've decided to replace them with a future, meter, which would be AMR.
And doesn't the water department already have new ones?
We have, a few years ago, the water department
Replaced.
started replacing
Yes.
the meter readers.
Yeah.
And the water department is, as the meters themselves fail, they are being replaced.
Sherry?
I guess I was gonna suggest that we table the, electric paperwork until everybody can be on the same page, because it's not fair that she just saw this and whatever, and we don't even know who prepared it. So I guess my suggestion is to table that for now.
Well, that's what we'll do for the next
Go
meeting.
to the
because
next meeting.
It's not fair to Sandra, because she can't
Absolutely.
answer any questions.
I think,
So,
There's also other things that need to be brought up to the budget committee that I will bring up at the next meeting, which has to do with, this year, we also, there was a decrease, a penny decrease in the contract. And that penny decrease is not what it seems, because we didn't make out with that penny decrease. No one mentioned that there's an administrative fee. And also, there was a charge of over the past several years. Now, I can't quote an exact amount, but this year it doubled. It cost us $336,000 for a transmission fee. It's our capacity charge. That $336,000, where do you get it?
Is that is that in the power purchase line?
That is in contract. We had them, I couldn't talk to them, but they came up and they talked with Steve. Glenn was supposed to attend that meeting and Glenn couldn't. But last year and the year before, I believe, it was around $116,000. Now, this is all added. This year it was $336,000. Where, if you don't raise, the rates, how do you pay that? $336,000 is a lot of
That's a
money.
lot of money.
Yes, it is.
For 2,000 people?
And there's an administration fee that
Added to it.
was added on.
I think that one thing that would make it a little less complicating, I know that we're not going to look at the hard numbers here, but I did notice that between the town budget and the electric department budget, in parentheses for the town is over expenditure, in parentheses for the electric department is how much is left. So that could be quite confusing when we start getting towards the end of the year, when we start looking at hard numbers. As you go from this sheet and then we go on to the next subject and you're doing electric, and okay, you're looking through there and you're thinking it's all overspent, but it's not.
Well, it'll be totally different, because
Right.
they did a totally different budget, so.
No.
Eli?
I believe that one of the reasons for that is one is done in QuickBooks and the other is out of BSMI.
BMSI.
So there are two different systems. We just have to find a compatible way.
And we still do.
Well, I think it could be the program, like you say, because if you look at the top, it says over budget.
Yeah.
It's not really over budget, it's how much they have left.
Yeah. It's the way that the column heads from QuickBooks was done.
Makes sense.
So the parentheses are actually over budget and the other.
On the town,
Yeah.
but on the electric, it's how much is left.
Right.
So it's.
I'm just asking all of you not to go by this.
No, I'm not going by that.
Oh, we'll just wait until next meeting.
And our meeting is tomorrow night because we changed it from Tuesday to
Yeah, and that's nice,
Wednesday.
thank you, Sandra, for doing that. David isn't here for the Ashland Water and Sewer,
And that's not, and this is.
and this is just a balance sheet, so unless anybody has anything else they would like me to email to David, I'm just gonna email him, tell him that this isn't really what we asked for. The reason Eli is not answering questions as a commissioner is because he is a member of the budget committee. And that's what he is right now for this. He is not the chairman of the commissioners.
So is Sandra, though.
Sandra is the chairman. David is not here to answer questions.
The last
Kind
page,
of odd.
sorry. The last page of this is profit and loss by class, but it's just for 1 month? Is that one meeting?
With who, the electric?
No, water and sewer.
I'd have to ask David.
I mean, it's not a yearly thing. It doesn't tell us where they are in the year, but it tells us for 1 month, right?
I don't know what in the set up. I saw that it wasn't,
Yeah, the first 2 pages are,
yeah,
or 3 pages are a balance sheet. And then the last page is the only one that seems to be profit and loss, but I think I'm reading this right, it's just for 1 month, August.
Well, what I can do is I can email David and get
that's
it
it.
back.
It was not a year-to-date.
Right. Okay. So we really don't get much out of it.
No,
No, and Eli had said he doesn't want to answer things because, David is the chairman and he's the one that I should keep on. I understand that.
All right.
Okay, the second question I had last time, Sandra, we had a meeting, we mentioned about when the school's budget would possibly be done.
And I called Trish, but not only that, since we've had a meeting, the assistant principal, the assistant superintendent, and the superintendent are now putting that budget together. After they finish that, there's the SAU, and then after the SAU, we have scheduled, I believe, 4 or 5 nights this month, early part of November.
I remember you saying hopefully.
Yeah, to do the budget.
Mhm.
But right now, it looks as if it will be December.
Before the whole budget is done,
Yes.
maybe beginning of December?
I can't say.
Okay.
I can't say. I know that Trish, who's the assistant superintendent, she has agreed, to come up and to give the budget committee an overview of last year's budget.
Okay.
That is.
And Trish is very thorough too.
She is.
She's very thorough, she goes through everything.
I know, but Sandra, once again, is just a liaison to that department. She can't answer those questions.
She isn't. She isn't, we don't have the budget or anything.
I
She's not answering. When we had the last meeting, she said she was going to check and see when they'd be working on the budget and when we could possibly have it, so that's what the answer is.
And we did have a budget meeting on last Monday night, and we scheduled, I believe it is 4 or 5 nights, to do the school budget.
Okay.
But that's after, they do the budget and goes to SAU and then it comes to us.
Lee?
Am I correct that school budget runs July 1 to June 30?
That's correct.
Why this town doesn't equalize this out one way or another is crazy. It's very hard for the school to set a budget when they're just barely into the new year.
Right.
It's very difficult.
For us, I can answer for us.
Yeah.
We're a calendar year, and if we went to a fiscal year, we would have to take on some debt service.
18 months, I
Yeah, you'd
believe.
have to.
Yeah, it'd be 18 months.
Yep.
No, I understand that.
So,
I mean, for them to do it, to go to a calendar year, they'd have to set up a 6-month budget, and they're right back at it again. I understand.
And they're where they're SAU too.
But, it's a little, in my opinion, it's a little ludicrous that you have that type of situation, because it's not fair, especially in my opinion, it's not fair to the school, because they're trying to set up a budget when they're only about 3 or 4 months into it.
The school teachers are preparing budgets in like the first weeks that they're actually starting to spend their
Right.
They are.
this year's
Yeah.
money, and then they go, it's like
Tyler?
very difficult.
I would still like to have a joint meeting with the Budget Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and the department heads. I know it got pushed back tonight. I initially wanted maybe possibly November 17th. It's a Saturday. Expectations are we can have the budget done by hopefully the end of the month. You guys could have it for maybe 3 weeks to prepare questions and answers for the selectmen and the department heads.
Why did you pick a Saturday?
That works.
Because before, the selectmen did not want to have their workers coming on a Friday night or a weekend.
I thought it'd be more convenient for you
How are the
folks.
selectmen about that? Because before, they complained when we wanted one.
I don't know. I can't speak of that rationale, but put it this way, I think I got pretty much everybody on board to do a Saturday, if, that works.
Actually, maybe Harold can speak.
This is the first that I heard of Saturday meeting for it. I thought we were gonna do it either during a selectmen meeting or a budget committee meeting.
So the selectmen haven't been asked about a Saturday?
No, we've talked about it, but we haven't came up with,
It hasn't been any hard schedules set.
yeah. Yeah. And my thought was, behind this, was, last year, you guys, the budget committee had a lot of questions, and, it was tough to track down a department head, we had department heads coming back and forth. Well, now I'll bring them all together for you guys, and have all the information that you need, give you plenty of time to prepare your questions about the budget, and then make sure everyone's kind of front and center, to be there to answer any questions that you might have.
And we still might want to meet with them separately, too.
I don't know, I can't speak to that. That would be a Board of Selectmen thing.
No, it would be a budget committee thing. If we wanted the
No.
department heads to come in separately, we've always done that, they've always come in separately, and we've always gone over the budget with them.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be up to the selectmen for that.
yeah. Well, look, if you have any questions, you can send them to me.
No, we can sit, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
even if we meet with the selectmen and the department heads, as a budget committee, we might decide, well, we still want to meet separately with that department head, with a certain department head. I mean,
I think the one advantage to a joint meeting would be, it would take one step out of playing telephone. If you ask the department heads have to ask Charlie, Charlie has to ask the board to select,
Yeah.
and then it gets back to you at the next meeting. But if we're all sitting at the table,
Right.
everything can be laid out at the table, whether it's a Saturday or Thursday or Wednesday, whatever it
Right.
is. That format may be advantageous to move this budget
Right.
along.
And the
and it
budget,
might be, but we still, if we wanted to meet separately,
Yes.
we could.
but to answer that maybe another way, it's the Board of Selectmen's request for the budget, it's not the department heads. Right, so the request for the budget is coming from the Board of Selectmen, not the department heads technically.
We know that.
So
But
the
they're the
question should
ones-
really go to the board, not the department heads.
Every year, we have always met with department heads and questioned them, because they're the ones that do the budget. The selectman doesn't do the budget, they're the ones that go over it, and then the selectman approves it. So,
But the Board of Selectmen have discretion over the budget. Once the budget's approved, it's their budget. It's not the department heads.
we know that.
Well, that's why I go back, the question
But
should really go.
then we get the budget and we can change it.
We can change the bottom line, but not line expenditures. That's where the authority lies with the Board of Selectmen,
In spending it, yes.
and spending it.
Yes, but we still can go over the budget with the department heads, with that separate budget.
Of course, I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying I think the question should be really kind of directed to the Board of Selectmen,
I disagree.
Yeah.
I definitely
the
disagree on
liaison,
that one.
instead of,
I definitely disagree. Lee?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Eli, but one of the things that I learned up there was a bottom line budget, the budget committee cannot change
Yeah.
lines, cannot add, cannot delete, but they can recommend.
yes.
So if we meet with a department head, the Board of Selectmen have cut $20,000 off their budget when they wanted to do this over here. If they convince the budget committee, we could say, we recommend putting that $20,000 for this purpose. We recommend, that's all we can do. We can't say we're doing it. We can say we recommend.
I think it's better to speak with the people who do the day-to-day work rather than the selectmen, who in some cases may not be as knowledgeable about what the money would be spent for as the department heads.
I agree on that one.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, like I said, I recommended a joint meeting to have both there. So they will both be there. And
I mean, agreed. It's a bottom line budget. We could recommend, and I'm just using this example, $20,000 go down to the highway, but, well, Board of Selectmen say, no, we're gonna spend that $20,000 for the police department.
Yeah.
I realize that, but, you know,
completely.
20 seconds.
What's the question? Well, when Thanksgiving is, that's.
Yeah, I was looking for some schedule.
Yeah. We're going to December. I mean, the warrant has to be posted, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, I think I passed it to all you folks. January 8th, I think, is the date we have to post.
No, January 8th would be the day petition warrant.
But they're all due.
No, but we have to hold a budget hearing by the 15th of January.
Right, but isn't November 12th the first time we accept petition warrant articles, and December 12th is when it's closed?
Yes, January is the last day to get public notice.
No, January 8th is the last.
Oh, January 8th, okay.
For the petition warrant.
That's right.
January 8th
Last-
for public notice.
Last date for you to hold your hearing is the 15th.
Right.
The 8th is
So,
the post, gotta post on the 8th.
petition warrant articles can come in.
And then you can change it on the 15th
Right.
at the public hearing if you want.
I'm not too sure, as a budget committee member, that meeting with the select board and the budget committee and the department head is going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. I'm not too sure that's going to happen. I'm a little concerned about that. I don't know how everyone else feels, but
I think it'd be a very long meeting, if we're going to go through detail. And there'll be department heads just sitting there for hours.
and the budget committee has the final say on the budget anyway, and then the town votes on it, but
I don't know.
I work
it's gonna be a lengthy day, that's for sure. I agree.
I'm not sure I agree with it. How does everyone else feel?
I think splitting it up is be easier on everybody, really. Just because of the
I think
the amount of material that has to be covered.
Well, I think splitting it up and having us be able to ask questions to the department head, I think we accomplish more. Because it's one individual or two individuals that night. I just, you know, I got thinking about it, I'm not too sure I agree with the meeting.
Let me say this, I know I've shown some of you the way I've reformatted the budget. You might not have as many questions as you had in the past, because it's really written out. I mean, the budget that I prepared so far, it's 100 pages. You know, total, it's 100 pages. So there's a lot of detail and there's a lot of information there. And each department head has gone, I said, write your narrative and your explanation as to what this line is used for, and what you are requesting. There's spreadsheets while it goes up and down, the percentage, different from last year vote to this year. There's a lot of information there. So compared to prior years when we just had the Excel spreadsheet, and what does these three-letter words mean? Who knows?
Well, before you decide on that, how did the other members feel about that? Sherry?
I don't think it's a good idea. Give me a long...
I don't really like the
I
idea
think
of
they
it.
would have to pay law enforcement for one to be there. I mean,
No,
I don't think so.
no.
and I work on Saturdays.
Eli?
Well, I would like to meet with the Board of Selectmen as a whole.
I never have.
With the department heads?
I would like to meet with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
I did all
My
that.
question?
Go for the Board of Selectmen, and then if we have questions, then we can try to meet with the department head.
Sandra?
I'd like to meet with both, but before we meet with both the body of the Board of Select, I'd like to meet with the department heads as we have over the past years.
Individually.
And, yes, and on a given night, we usually have 3 departments that, we interview. Yes. And it's really pretty basic, the questions that we ask, but, the department heads are able to give the details of what, they want in their budget. And if you look at the budget has department head requests, it has a select board request, it has the budget committee, it has all that in your budget. And I think the department heads can answer our questions better than the select board can. I mean, the select board can on a grand scale, but if we ask individual questions that are pertinent to their department, the department heads can answer that, where the select board, I don't think can. And it may be what the department head is saying, to us, and that's why they requested it. And we'd say, sure, that makes sense, and we'd go with it, where the selectmen may not be able to answer it to the degree that we would say yes.
See, I think, look, the department heads are gonna present their budget to the Board of Selectmen. And the board is going to have a rationale for the request. Now, with that being said, I think last year and a couple of times before, we've had incidences where department heads agreed that lines should be cut. Well, the Board of Selectmen didn't agree on some lines that should be cut, and it's the Board of Selectmen's request, again, not the department heads. I think, that goes against the will of the board. I think there was a little bit too much for the department heads going back and forth, and I just don't know if the Board of Selectmen are completely, that's a question for them, to whether or not they want the department heads to continue to come back to meeting after meeting. Because last year, there were some that came back for 2 or 3 meetings.
As a budget committee, we have a right to request that.
Request information, but not presence of the staff. The
Yes,
staff
we
reports to
can.
the Board of Selectmen.
No, the staff is coming to the meetings. We've done that every year that I know of. David, have they always done it since you've been?
Yes.
I think Charlie's.
I think
actually
those
right
are
as to
maybe-
the
It's a
law.
staff.
Is there a new law now?
No, it's the same law.
It's a staff.
But
Yeah, I would, I really like meeting with department heads, but Charlie, I think, is correct. They don't,
We can request information, they don't have to show up.
Oh, well, we knew that.
They can provide the information in a.
Oh, we knew that. We knew they didn't have to show up
Right.
if they didn't want to.
So he's correct about that, but it
Thanks.
it
But
is
most of
easy
them,
to ask somebody.
but most of them show
I
up.
think Shelley is right.
I don't know anybody that doesn't show up. I mean, to me, most of them show up anyway.
They
Yes, I
actually
agree.
seem to like the opportunity.
They do. They like to be able to explain
Right.
it to us.
The other thought is, here, with having a joint meeting, is to sort of get this done. I mean, we took 6 months last year to prepare the budget. We have till January 8th. And we still have to prepare our warrant. and
I
we
don't
have to
think
have
they're going to
public
get it
hearings.
done with a big meeting like that. I agree meeting with the selectmen, but I don't think we're going to get it done having the selectmen and the department heads and the budget
Yeah.
committee. I think it's going to cause a lot of problems.
I think you wait to see what we present, and it will answer a lot of questions that I think you might
I
have.
don't agree with that meeting. Sherry?
I guess my question is the Board of Select pushing you for this, or is this your idea of?
So it was my idea, most of the selectmen that I've talked to agree with it.
But Harold wouldn't know anything about it.
Well,
I knew that we were planning a meeting with the budget committee, but I didn't know that it was the 3.
yeah.
And,
Oh, the selectmen didn't know it was the 3 groups?
No, they know, we just haven't voted on it, or anything at the
I'm
meeting.
only one of 5.
so
Yeah.
do
We haven't voted, we haven't,
the department heads not want to meet with? Because like
Yes,
David said,
yes.
they kind of.
yes, department heads want to,
come in.
yes. A lot of folks agree with having a joint to let's get this budget done. Last year, it went.
That was not my question.
I know, and this is my answer.
That
They
was my
like,
question.
the department heads like meeting with the budget committee separately.
No,
I tell you that right
no.
The
I'm
only
not
reason
saying that.
they said yes to that is
I would
because
not
it
say that.
sounded like you were gonna get things done faster, but you're not.
I
It's
don't
gonna-
know.
I think it's gonna
I
cause
don't
a
know.
lot of problems.
I can tell you,
We can provide all the information that you request, I guess I'll say that.
Harold?
I can tell you that I've looked through the budget that Charlie has prepared, and of all the years that I've been part of this budget committee, it is the best prepared budget.
It is, I saw that, it is.
And it's like the previous years were cliff notes, well, this is the whole novel, and it's everything. And there's still numbers to be quoted.
The board has to vote on the numbers.
But the format, it's a superior format. All the questions that we've gone back and forth with for years.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like,
very
oh,
good.
no, we'll talk to so-and-so and get back to you in 2 weeks. No, you look at this number, and then you look at this notation, and there's your explanation right there.
Yeah, it's right there, very readable.
So you
Well,
think,
very black
I
and
guess
white.
I can't make any more comments because I have not seen any of that. So I'm done with any questions.
The only reason
I
I
was
saw it
excited.
today, when I went in to get other paperwork, Charlie just happened to have it, and so he showed it.
Yeah.
well, I always want to know when the department head and the selectmen disagree. That's always interesting to me, is why it's cut or expanded or whatever. So in some ways, having the selectmen meet with us would be nice. Not
I
that
agree.
The liaison is not, does a good job,
No,
but,
Harold doesn't.
yeah, he does a good job of that, but that's an advantage I do see of having a joint meeting with the selectmen as a group, but I just think it would be it could be the longest meeting.
I don't think we're gonna accomplish what we want.
Yeah.
Lee?
Question, Charlie.
Sure.
You said you were shooting for your department November, then you said it'd probably be the end. Are you talking about this whole thing, the meeting would be like after Thanksgiving or the first week of December? Because you're gonna push us at that point. That's the only thing I'm saying, that's all.
Initially, I said November 17th, the following week's Thanksgiving, and then that made me think the first week of
I'm just-
December. I mean, the school budget's not even going to be, you know,
Till
in-
December, yeah. If then, that's,
yeah. And,
Just a question, that's all.
sure.
Seems like the majority of the budget committee wants to meet with the selectmen, but not the selectmen and the department heads.
well,
That's what it looks like, from the majority, that we'd like to meet with the selectmen.
but I
the
also have to
selectmen.
meet with the department heads, so I mean,
David,
additional meeting might be.
No, I'm talking about just meeting with the selectmen and then us doing the department heads separately.
Oh, that's a notion, yeah.
Eli?
Oh,
As, going back to my original, I would like to meet with the Board of Selectmen first.
Yes, I heard you
Okay.
say that, and Lee did too.
Whether it is necessary to meet with the department heads, that would remain to be seen. If there were questions that we had at that time, we could discuss. We need to discuss procedure between the boards. And meeting together would get us to that point quicker without the department heads there the first time.
Right, I agree.
So is that meeting just to talk about how the budget will be presented? or
They might
to
present-
Go through the budget?
We haven't decided on what to do.
What,
If they're not going to have,
what do you want to accomplish by meeting with them?
one, I'd like to get the ground rules down. If there are questions, I want to see the budget beforehand. I want them to explain the budget. If we have additional questions, they need to supply us with answers. How they supply us with answers is up to them.
Maybe I know I'll stick in the mud, but I like the old system, maybe just because I'm used to it, but
I really prefer meeting with department heads.
Well, we still want to do that, meet with department heads separately, that's what I feel.
Well, yes and no, because if what I'm hearing from what Charlie and what you said about what's prepared for the budget, that's probably going to answer 95% of the questions that might be forthcoming. I don't know, I'm just taking...
My problem is, the reason I like meeting with the department heads is because I think there are a lot of questions that the budget does not answer. And I like the fact that we meet with them and then we can decide, is this necessary, or is this the most important thing, or can this maybe be cut a little, or, I think it's good to meet with the department heads. They're the ones that know how much they need and what they're gonna spend, and, that's how I feel. David, likes meeting with them. Sandra, how do you feel?
I like meeting with the department heads, but your new format with the budget, does it have what the selectmen are recommending?
Yes.
What the department
Yes.
are recommending?
Yes.
So
And
those.
then it has the difference between what the board is recommended and what was voted upon by the people, and then that percentage difference, whether it's an increase,
People.
the town.
Previous.
Previous vote was voted in, the budget that was voted in.
No, I'm talking
We're
about.
talking about the new
We're
budget.
talking about the new budget.
Yeah,
So there's.
exactly, and I'm showing you the difference between what was voted upon here and whether or not it goes up or down with the request to you.
Oh, I have that right in front of me.
Yeah.
It does. It's been like that for years.
Right.
No,
But
that's
he
the
has-
percentage,
No, not the percentage, but there is,
the variance.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
figures here.
Yeah.
It has, I have here, it has, department head request, TA revised, selectmen
Right,
revised,
we always
budget
have
committee, and then they go into the,
We always
we've
have
always
those.
had that, so it's
And then I've
something that.
added a column that
That's-
shows the difference,
But
the
you,
number.
I know, but you can just look at it and know that there's a difference.
Well,
You're talking about, I know you are, I know you are, but looking at it, it shows that, gee, there might be $2,000 difference between the department head and the selectman. But I don't think we want to know the amount of the money, I think we want to know why. We'll get that from the department head,
Right.
and I think that's on a more personal.
I recommended both would be there, so whether or not you meet with the department heads, we invite the board of selectmen, or the board of selectmen, have a meeting with the board of selectmen, the department heads would be there.
I'm not
No,
saying that there's.
we want a meeting just with the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, and we'll
We
invite
do
the
not want
department heads.
Right, we do not want a meeting with the department heads there.
Really?
Not together.
No.
Why don't you want them together?
Because we want to have a meeting with the selectmen first. This is new, we haven't even met with them. And I think it's is it a majority that we want to meet with just the selectmen first?
I'm
Eli says yes, what about you, Lee?
I would agree with Eli, that's...
Okay, Sharon?
I have mixed feelings. There are people on the board that wrote a warrant article to try to get rid of the budget committee. I have semi-mixed feelings.
I know, I'm concerned as to how it's going to
I'm
go.
concerned that might not be, that may go down in history. But I'm just.
I didn't recreate the wheel here, this is what
No,
a
but
lot of towns do.
I think it seems like
I
everybody,
understand that, but
a majority of the budget committee wants just a meeting with the selectmen.
Right.
Well, I don't mind if they're there.
David, it's a majority, I said.
Okay. I
It's
guess I'm
just
not
with the
part of
selectmen and not with the department heads.
Right,
All right.
right, and that's how the majority
So you're
feels.
counting 4?
I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
I would.
I don't know how you-
I would count. I don't think that we have, I don't think that Sherry voted that way.
Well, no, I think Sherry did not want to meet with the department heads and the selectmen. Do you mind meeting with just the selectmen?
no, but I'm telling you, I
That's what I
have
thought.
mixed feelings also.
I know, which
Okay.
makes sense.
And I have concerns.
Okay, majority rules, fine.
But no, not a joint Saturday meeting. I work Saturdays and I'm.
No, I don't like that either.
Do we have any Monday meetings coming up that are sparse? I mean, we're all gonna be there, and you're gonna pay for the videotaping anyways, why not just have it our night and we already have the videotape rolling?
I'll be there.
Allison's always there.
The 12th is a long day.
Most, it's the best entertainment you ever get.
There were a few times.
Who's Allison?
Ellison.
Oh, Eli.
My real name.
Oh, okay. That would be either a first or a third Monday, correct?
Mhm.
Sherry Holman?
Off of our shoulders for Monday evening. Because in years
How
past,
big an agenda do you have for your next meeting, the work session?
he would be 20.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
But that's before the budget is done, so,
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah. You're talking November.
Eli?
It would be no use to meet with the board of selectmen until their budget has been.
Yes.
And that's not gonna be till about the probably middle of November, end of November?
Hopefully, beginning of November.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're scheduling Wednesday meetings, we're meeting tomorrow, and then we'll be
Tomorrow.
17th, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll probably be following Wednesday as well.
yeah. It's just, yeah, like I said at the beginning, now it's just a matter of the board meeting, taking vote, and, getting the figures from the insurance companies.
How about November 6th, the first meeting?
November 6th is voting day.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's not
November
happening.
6th is a Tuesday.
Ninth.
November, it's the 5th, the board.
November 5th, I'm sorry, Eli.
Huh?
I'm sorry, I meant November 5th.
I'd have to talk to the selectmen and,
Well, that's your regular meeting,
Well,
then.
Harold
Yeah, it's a
can
regular
probably relay
meeting.
that back at the work session, right?
yeah,
Charlie can bring it up, and I can-
We're your liaison.
I can give my opinion and
Right.
what you
Yeah.
folks have brought forward.
That's their regular meeting schedule.
yeah, November 5th, yeah.
That's what he said. I thought he said maybe we could do it at one of their regular meeting
maybe,
schedules.
yeah.
That was something that we'd have to bring to the board.
Yeah.
Next meeting.
Yeah.
Between, that would be between the chair and the TA as far as the scheduling of the
Right.
agenda and what's on it. But I'm just thinking as far as everybody else's schedule,
Yeah,
that,
That probably won't work.
no.
No.
why?
Oh, because the regular meeting is to conduct our regular business. So that usually takes an hour and a half, a good hour and a half to do.
So we're looking at the 19th?
And
Or the 12th.
And the 19th, those are, the 5th and the 19th are regular meetings, the 1st and 3rd, and the 12th is a holiday. That's Veterans
I
Day.
can't do it the 12th anyway. I have
Veterans
the
Day.
other
Oh,
meeting
it's
on the
Veterans
second
Day.
Monday.
All right.
It's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
So the 19th used to be used
Work
as a
session.
work session.
It is.
I don't know why they call it a work session. I understand why they do it, but since I've been here, it's been a regular.
I understand that.
So maybe it's some other night of those first couple weeks in November.
I guess what I will say is I'll take this information, I talk to the board tomorrow, and then follow up.
And Harold can too, because he's one of
Right.
the
And
liaisons.
we'll have the budget before then? To review?
What do you mean?
You'll have all the numbers in your fancy new 100 pages?
What, by when?
Whatever.
A week before we meet.
Oh, sure, I mean, my whole intention is to give you 2 to 3 weeks to prepare any questions. Yeah, hopefully, if things go well and we're able to get a quorum of the board to meet, to vote on the budget, we could have it done by the end of October, and, as much time as the budget committee needs to prepare.
That would be early, so.
So,
Well, our next meeting is November 13th.
Well,
I mean, I just don't know, because I don't know how long it's gonna take with the department heads, and, and of course, again, the insurance numbers, but that's something that we can just,
Well, the insurance, you
we can just deal with. Yeah, that's something we can just do on the side, maybe at the public hearing or something on
And
those.
that's something you can't change anyway.
Yeah, they're pretty much straightforward as it is. but, tomorrow I only have 2 hours, whether or not I'm able to get through 3 departments in 2 hours, I don't know,
Charlie, I'm not sure it's what it's under, but I had mentioned this to you before when you do the new budget, that the amount for the electric department, it was $42,000 last year, but that's got to change. Are you changing it on your, it hasn't got on now?
No, I was waiting for somebody to bring that up. It's gonna stay.
Okay, so 42,000 is okay. Because remember that last year, there was a discrepancy.
Yes, and that's what threw me off.
Okay.
Do you feel that that number will reduce as you implement more of the high-efficient streetlights that I've been seeing pop up around town?
Those are random lights to see how they would work.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that right now. If you figure that we give, I forgot the number, it's 3,000 something, it doesn't come up to the 42,000. It comes up to 39,000 and change. I think 42,000 right now is fine.
Okay. Because that's been that way for quite a few years now.
yeah.
Just a wash.
And we make sure
It
it's
is a
on the
wash.
line. Yeah.
But because it's a wash, it has to be the same amount
That's
right.
with the electric and with the town.
And, yeah.
Because if not, then it's not a wash.
Yeah.
On that, is that included the penny and a half increase?
I'm sorry?
The 42,000 include that penny and a half increase?
It doesn't affect it. It does not affect it.
Why?
I'll answer that question but it doesn't affect it.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Well, okay. Harold, do you have any other business? Sherry?
Nope.
Do that? Lee?
I'm just looking for, I thought I saw something on the street lighting, but maybe I'm...
It's in there, it's 42,000. That's why I asked Charlie about the new budget. It's in there, I can't remember what page, but I saw it. Sandra, do you have any other business?
No, the only thing I'm saying is that, as far as the electric department, Steve's been upset, but we're working on the budget.
Okay.
And our meeting is tomorrow night. We've also scheduled meetings ahead to work on the budget, yes. And same
Just
with,
keep me posted.
and the same with the school department. Those, I can't give you the, I think there are five nights that we've scheduled for the school.
Okay. David, do you have any other business?
I was just wondering, with the water and sewer budget, do we have any projections on when that will?
No, because that has to be answered by David, because David is the chairman.
He's the one who's doing
And
it.
Eli has always said to me, he does not represent the water and sewer at this meeting.
Okay, so
He's
you
a
don't have an
committee
answer at
member.
this
We do
point?
not.
Okay, all right.
I have to get back to David. And I did tell David if he would like to come to a meeting, just to let me know, he's welcome to come if he wants to answer any questions. So I did invite him.
And actually,
Charlie, just a minute, Charlie, do you have anything else,
No.
any other business? Sandra,
Thanks.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, officially, I'm not, a member of the budget committee, I'm a liaison from the school.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But the only reason I have you answer the electric is because you're chairman of the electric commissioners, aren't you?
Right, but I'm not here officially as.
I know that.
Okay, all right.
But because you're chairman, I could invite you, which you're here anyway, so that's why I have you go over the budget.
You could,
And I will get hold of David and talk to him about the budget.
And actually, I'd like to ask all of you if you would not entertain the thought of having Steve come to the budget committee.
That would be great. Maybe it would be good if Steve came, because maybe he could answer questions that you can't, because he works with it.
He's
And he
teaching me,
knows.
he's teaching me a lot that I didn't know.
Which makes sense. Yeah, that's, nobody complained, nobody
No, I know.
objects to that, do they, to the superintendent coming? Because when we had it before, Lee used to come and explain things, so.
Right.
Anything else? Okay, let me see what time it is. There being no other business, I'll adjourn the meeting at 7:38 PM.